Okay, so what we'll do is we are going to start our first panel, and I am going to ask Lila, Angelica, and Fanny now to talk about creating the game. And I'm going to ask them a couple of questions about creating the game, what they did to get to where they are, a skill set or skill sets, what's important right now, and what's coming in the future. So I'm going to ask each one of you this question. I'm going to start with Lila. So, Lila, if you can tell us what role you typically assume within the development of a game and what skills are necessary to a game success.
Well, so my role on the education team is to be an executive producer of our learning experiences or our games, from budgeting and inception to conception, uh, and creating the go-to-market, and then launch and supporting our community of educators and learners. So I kind of call it like soup to nuts, right? The full experience. And the specific skills, I have had partners tell me, Laylah, you're a chaos coordinator. Laylah, you heard the cats. I think that the what that really means is it's a variety of skills, right? One is certainly that of the organization, being able to come up with not only a project, but also then to understand what that workflow is, to unblock dependencies. So that means that folks are from different teams are coordinated and meeting deadlines to be able to then deliver a product. It also means being able to have really good relationships with people across teams because especially in a hybrid workplace, because in our team, for example, my boss lives in Northern Ireland. And I'm in on the west coast of the United States. I'm in Seattle, the Seattle area. So we try to meet as much as possible every single day to understand, almost like if you think of a breakfast table and we're all sitting at the table and understanding what are our deliverables for that day and what do we need to deliver that week and that month and this year. So a lot of that is making sure that we have really strong relationships with people that are part of our team. And that means great communication. So if I were to tell you, those specific skills in my job are collaboration, communication, creativity, and I'll get to the creativity part too, and being critical thinking, the 4 C's, right, or problem solving, because a lot of the job is also problem solving. I would also tell you problem finding, which is a little bit of a funny thing to say. Mostly we talk about the problem solving, but problem finding those problems that you didn't expect before they pop up, right? So that you can resolve them and meet your deadlines. So in terms of those broad skills that you get from and really working on them, and I can't say that I was always a great communicator. I used to keep a lot of my ideas in my head, and I realized that different scenarios require different kinds of communication that are both verbal and written. And there's different kinds of ways of communicating in different channels now, right? So how I communicate in a Slack channel for a deliverable is different from how I am communicating in an email or a presentation versus how I'm communicating now. And so developing those communication skills in order to deliver a product. My work also requires research. So I'll give an example. The most recent game that I created actually was called Good Game. I launched it. We shipped it. That's a term, to ship a game. We shipped it in February 6th, and this was a game as part of what is called our Cyber Safe series. And it's a partnership with Xbox, and so Mojang being part of Xbox. And so about 2 years ago, to give you an idea, I saw that in our community, there was a lot of concern about toxicity online and children being safe online. And I wanted to create an experience that allowed parents and teachers to teach online safety skills through the game. So how could I make and a lot of kids learn about being safe online with a lot of don'ts. Don't do this and don't do that. Well, that's not very compelling. And in fact, rather the kid, you told me don't do something, I wanted to do it right away. So how can we create experiences that allow kids to practice safety online inside of Minecraft in a really safe way that's really fun and compelling? So that was the idea. But then I also found in my research that 80% of teachers and parents didn't feel comfortable talking to their children about being safe online. They didn't even understand what kind of parental controls there were. And they had this, because like my parents, no, you can't do it. Or at all, because I don't know. Or they had, the opposite, which is, it was a free for all. So yeah, parents would just say, I don't know what my child is doing online. Or teachers would say, we don't really understand. So I wanted Minecraft to be at the forefront of that experience. So that became the beginning of how I make a game, which is finding that there is demand and a need for it. And from there, it's budgeting, making sure that there is funding for that, and sometimes finding money for it, finding a partner that has funding for that game. A lot of the games that we make in first party on the education team actually are funded by our partners. So that term is called having a tin cup sometimes, and going around and finding funding for your project and having a vision for it and a belief for it, and knowing that it'll bring back great returns to our community and to Mojang. Well, we are now in the third year of this Cyber Safe series, to give you an example. So that first game was really very successful, Home Sweet Home, which is a noise that our villagers make. And a lot of people thought that was a weird title. I loved that title, and our players loved that title. So it has to be really fun and engaging. And a good game came out in February. The same premise: how can we teach students how to build a community of trust at scale, and a culture where they say, well, it's someone's bullying me, or someone's really, spamming chat, or someone is cheating. What do I do in those situations? And so we made this game Good Game. And as part of our social impact, we made this game publicly available, free in Marketplace, and also free in the education demo. So if you're interested in knowing what Minecraft education is, I'll put that in the chat. But we made it so that any student, even without a license, could be able to have access to that game. So that's all part of the funding. When we worked also in partnership with the Hispanic Heritage Foundation and made Latin Explorers and Latin Explorers 2, that was part of our commitment, was to make the game freely available to students, whether they had a license or not. So what we find is that students around the world and players around the world and teachers and education leaders say, oh, we really love these experiences. We want to have this license. We want to have Minecraft as a teaching tool. So developing the game, as you can see, is a lot of people from different teams across Xbox and across Mojang. The individual skills that you have yourself, which part of it is, in my case, finding funding for our games, and then reporting back on the impact of it. And so far, we've been really successful across a variety of areas. And I would tell you that, as the last thing, in developing the games that we do in education, is in Microsoft, they call it customer obsessed. I think in Mojang, it's really being about player obsessed. What is it that the player, and in my case, the learner, really needs to learn in a compelling and fun way that can transform their life? And from the Hispanic Heritage side, the CEO of the Hispanic Heritage side, Tony Tijerino, always said, we want to make experiences for, like, for example, Latin Explorers, where students can see players can see themselves in the game, and then take those skills into their real life, right? And that's been part of that. I took that to heart. Tony's an incredible global leader, and that's really also informed how we really focus on that player and learner experience, so that whatever they're learning in Minecraft is something that they can take into their everyday lives to build a better world.
Thank you so much.
That's my approach.
I love what you were saying. The communication skills, the relationship skills, organization, all of those things are important, whether you are developing a game, or I'm sure we'll see some red threads across our panels as well. And the beauty of the work that you do about creating those games where people are not only seeing themselves, but really learning about things, whether it be AI or a good game, or seeing themselves in the game. So thank you. Thank you so much for that. Next, I'm going to bring Fanny up. And Fanny, if you can tell our, I was going to say everybody in the audience that we are seeing, what you do when it comes to the development of the game and the skills that are necessary to that, to the game's success.
Of For sure. I'll talk a little bit about my role, but I think it's so similar to what Layla is saying. So maybe I will talk as my time when I was a engineer on the team as well, since that's probably more relevant for some people. But yes, my role is being an engineering manager. So as I mentioned, I am a manager of managers. So my team, it's within the Bedrock platform team. What that means is that we are not developing really like the customer facing features necessarily, but we are building the platform that everyone else chooses to build the customer facing features. So our customers are not necessarily the players, but are the people building the next mob that we are to the game, the next block that we add to the game. And that does involve our creator community actually. So if we are enabling our internal teams to add a new block, we try hard to also enable our creator community to be able to do the same because they are also creating content for our players. So that's what our team does. As an engineering manager of the team, I do a lot of what Layla mentioned actually. I help create the strategy for our team, like what are the things that we are going to be working on. But since we have a lot of internal customers, to be honest, a big part of our strategy is formed by our customers. So I partner with people to help figure out what are the most important things that we should be focusing on. And it's a hard job, especially when you're on a team that has tons of customers. You have to be managing the priorities, the relationships, making sure that you are picking the most important things, the highest impact, because of the 100 things that everyone wants you to do, you often can only do like three. So it's a lot of collaboration, a lot of communication, a lot of prioritization, working with your team on costing feasibility, understanding the problems. So being on the engineering side, a lot of my job is figuring the feasibility of things, the problems, risks, the benefits that you could have, breaking down problem into the pieces and deliverables. So that is what the engineering team mostly focuses on the leadership side. But yeah, a lot of what Lida mentioned. So I think what I want to talk a little bit about is my time as an engineer on the team. Uh, the skills I was lucky that I joined on a platform team. I had never thought about it, and I've been enjoying a lot. Everyone enjoys different things. I definitely know people that just want to work on building the new blog or the new mob. That is the most interesting, and don't get me wrong, that is super fun too. But on the platform team, what I like is just enabling other people to do those things, like empowering especially our creator community. If I would say what is my favorite team thing working on Mojang is that working with our creator community and just empowering them to build things and just deliver the fun. It's very rewarding, I would say. So as an engineer, the skills that you have is be customer obsessed. You need to be able to understand your customers and make sure that you are delivering the things that they need, right? Not just what you think is good. You need to be having good communication skills to be able to talk with your customers and be able to design the feature that you're working on and making sure that you have the right sign off, the right requirements. And you always partner with your product managers as well for that. And then there is the coding skills, right? On games, usually it's C++, but there's so much more out there now with mobile gaming, with web gaming. Like there's tons of languages. But what you think as the old PC and console gaming is still C++. And with us being in so many platforms, we actually still use C++ because of the performance and the cross compatibility with all of the platforms that we ship on. So knowing C++, knowing how to write performant C++ is super important. Knowing the tools for evaluating performance, for debugging skills, being able to come on board into different pieces of code. Especially, for example, in Minecraft, our code base is so complex. It's very important to be able to just dive deep and follow the trail and understand how things connect and to be able to implement things at quality. So having that customer obsessed mentality, I think it also helps you make sure that the feature is built at quality, making sure that people can use it as you expect it to, making sure that you don't have unexpected bugs, that they are not using it that way. Oh, I didn't think about this and now it's broken. So you have to collaborate a lot with a lot of people, right? So as an engineer, you don't get to just sit down and code. Maybe early in the career, that is usually true. But as you move into more senior roles, you're expected to be communicating with your partners, with your customers, with your product manager, with your project manager, to make sure that the right things are happening at all stages: design time, implementation time, test time, and then when you release it. So there's definitely a lot of skills that you need to learn. And as you grow in your career, the expectation, how Microsoft thinks about it is your impact and how you collaborate with others just grows more. You're not just focused on your feature. Now you're focused on helping a group of people, and now you're helping on driving a feature, and now you're helping your whole team, and now you're helping your whole organization. So you just have to expand who you talk to, who you collaborate with to have the highest impact. Yes, I don't know. That's what I would say about being an engineer and the different stages of it.
Thank you so much, Fanny. I love that you touched on what I would say the soft skills of the relationship management, the collaboration, knowing your customer, whether it be that internal and external. And I was smiling as you said, how do you prioritize? I think that's something that everyone can understand. So as an engineer, especially in addition to the hard skills, which are I think of as coding, those soft skills definitely. It was great to hear how they play a role in your work. So thank you. Great. And Anjelika, if you can give us a little bit about what your typically your role within this development of the game and the skills for the game to be a success.
Yeah, great. Hi. I feel like just taking a breath. It's a lot of information. You're getting a lot of information today. All right. I actually work with Fanny, and I'm the one who's asking her for things, and she's asking me why. So, but as a product manager, mentioned a little bit earlier, a product manager is a great role because it spans all industries. It makes it really easy. As you're figuring things out, maybe you want to shift a little bit. But I focus on creators. So creators are those people who use the platform to make their own games, and they want to sell those games on the marketplace on Bedrock for players to play. So as a product manager, I do a lot of listening. So I need to know what creators need to make cool games. I need to know the types of games that players want to play. I need to know what kind of content and games will do well in the store. I need to know the technical limitations. So with Fanny talking about the platform, what can the platform do or not do? Can we do it in time to make this work? And I need to know the direction that the business wants to go in terms of the type of games that we want to make possible. So for me, I need to take all that information, form my own perspective, but one that also represents creators, players, the business, and the platform. So I can take that perspective, share it with others, and try to rally support for the direction that we want to go in. So it's a lot about just being open-minded and trying to influence others to change their mind, letting others influence you to change your mind. And so doing a product management job, you really need to consider a lot of different conflicting opinions and be able to make sense out of those and then communicate those in a way that gets others to believe in the direction. And for me, one of my career challenges has been that it hasn't always been easy for me to organize my thoughts. And so I've worked really hard to figure out ways to make that better. So I write them down, I practice, I say them out loud, see how it sounds. I also go for walks and think through things, and that helps me to make sense of them. But making a game is one of the hardest jobs, and you don't win by having the best idea. You have to have kind of two paths. One is the talent you have, the skills that you grow, either it's coding or it's design.
But then, just as Ava was saying, the other path is having the skills of working together as a team, and having empathy, being humble, thinking about the big picture. Those are just as important to make the game successful. And there's a difference between, that kind of learning where it's gaining knowledge and learning where you're practicing and applying and thinking about how to develop your craft or growing your talent in that way. So some of the best people I work with, and I learn the most from the people I work with. So I observe them and I see how they do things. And I'm like, yes, I really like their style and I want to do more of that. So some of the best people I know are confidently humble. They're comfortable knowing that they don't have all the answers, but they know they can figure it out. And they're comfortable with that. And so important is asking for help. I had to do it like just today. You always have to ask for help early, often. And this includes your personal life as well as your professional life, because you can't, take those apart. Your personal is going to bleed into your professional. And so when you find those mentors, and please find mentors that you can be yourself with, keep in touch with them, grow those connections, those relationships, and they'll help you to build relationships with new people as you enter new jobs. But yeah, I think also, I think as you're seeing from this panel, another really important thing for me in finding the place where I belong is finding the right, obviously, somebody that makes a great game, but also has the right culture. And so I think there are a lot of games that fail, they're not successful because the culture is such that they're not going to help their team be successful. So, as you're entering the workforce, it's about what you want to do, but where are you going to find that place that's going to let you do the best work? So look at.
Thank you so much. I loved what you were saying, Anjelika, about what you did in order to get yourself to be more organized, and the ways in which you did that, and that part of asking for help. I think that's so important. Doesn't matter what stage of career you're in. None of us know it all. No matter how far we are or how much we've studied. And so that part of understanding that that not only we're human, and we're human in that sense, and we're also human because we are not robots that come into work and do our work, but there is life that happens to us. So being able to express that and look around for that strength, and the mentors that are around us are super key. So I want to thank our three panelists, Laylah, Fanny, and Anjelika, so much.